Alright, let's get ready to hop into this game. I'm going to actually switch the screen to the correct screen this time. We've got some dark elves versus some humans. I don't know who sent this in. I think it was Ramshik. I'm not certain. Try to be general unless somebody announces. I think it was Ramshik. Not exactly certain though. Let's see. Let me take a peek. Might have been Gimlet. I have no idea. But we're gonna let's take a look here. Perfect defense, it looks like. I'm gonna take another peek at that if that was perfect defense. Because I think it was. And let's take a general stock of what's going on. I hate how I can't look at those with the game running. 11 versus 12. So Dark Elves are at an inherent disadvantage. Got kick. I like kicking deep against humans, as elves in general. Do we have a witch, rookie, we have some levels. A lot of mighty blow. Gotta be really careful as the dark elves this game. If you base up too much, you will get absolutely destroyed. And we really want to deal with the killer. The pylon killer, that is. We've got a babe for the dark elves. No thing. Okay. Nothing crazy, nothing crazy. Perfect defense, so you want to pull off the mighty blow. So I think you completely disengage this killer. And you move away from the ogre. Maybe go right here. And then I like aggressing over on the right side a little bit more. Because, you know, the ball's over there. But also because the pylon stuff isn't. So I would want to bring... Go ahead. Okay. Let's relaunch my pen tool because I messed it up somehow. Oopsies. Yeah. I like bringing... bringing a blitzer, like, this-ish. Bring the sidestep here, bring this one here. Just on the perfect defense, and then you can still cover the rest pretty samey like you do. Because you don't want to completely disengage from the left side, because this is a thrower, it can hand off sort of thing. But no matter what you do, there's not going to be too much wrong. You mainly just want to disengage from the mighty blow as much as you can. Like this hit, I would have never given up on the piling on. You'd much rather get hit by this blitzer. As the humans, I would never take the ogre hit right now. Like there's so many other things to do as humans. Like right here, if the ogre rolled that, that's a 1 in 9 instantly. You got to take your other hits before using your ogre to take a well, 3 die gets another die, but so it probably wouldn't have been a turnover. But still, I'd much rather take this hit. Don't pile that on. KOs are great. Alright. And pretty happy with this turn overall as the humans. Got a removal. And playing 11v10 already. It's not bad, not bad. And you just hold the ball on the thrower, great. To see it. Yeah, that's fine. This is how you use the thrower. Use the thrower to be allowed to be further back than you normally would. Good, good, good. Okay, we don't actually have a killer. And this is protected. If you can, you want to see if you can target the mighty blows. And I'm not a huge fan of what we've got going on right now. We've got, like, no pressure on the ball. And we're just giving up the space right here, rather than setting up closer. And I think the humans are going to be allowed to take their time just down the pitch if you don't put pressure on the ball at all. Because you want to put, like, just enough pressure that your opponent's not allowed to just take whatever hit they want and keep the ball in safety. This is a little strange, though. So, like, this is mostly fine. It is the blitz. And it's gonna get fouled as well. He doesn't die, I think. Pile that on every time. Yeah. So that is protected. Ball safe. And we want to see a little bit of pressure. So, like, right here, I don't even mind scattering the ball, hitting the dirty player. Or if you can manage, hitting the mighty blow player. 2, 3, 2, 2, 2. Yeah, okay. And that's fine. This is also fine to keep this space. This is no block. Next to blodge and a block strength 4. Keeping this shirt up. Hey, Doug, how's it going? Okay, if the humans really want to get through, they can. But also, I don't think the humans are trying to get through you right now. Going ahead and getting the piling on hit onto the strength 4. Double GFIs for it. Pretty bold. Pretty lucky. That's more unfortunate than anything. I don't think there's anything the Dark Elves could have done to prevent that. Yeah, the only thing that these removals could have had done to prevent them is more pressure on the ball when it was on the ground, but even then there was, like, you would have to base to do that. Like, you could bring the sidestepper onto it. But this is really just, like, bad luck right now. Oh, yeah, right now they are. Just so you know, Doug, I'm really upset. That rookie beastman I had that leveled rolled fucking dodge. I wanted sure hands, so I could actually have someone with sure hands for the first time in 30 games, and now I have dodge. That upsets me. Oh yeah, but since I'm specifically building a ball carrier with him, I don't think I get the luxury of just passing on the dodge. So then it's going to be blodge into sure hands again. It's N-Wave. I wasn't feeling bad yesterday, just like generally not feeling the vibe of Blood Bowl. Wasn't feeling bad at all. Just not vibing with it very much. The high TV Blood Bowl specifically. I also woke up way too damn early yesterday. And that's unfortunate. Yeah, 136. 136. Yeah, Glove, I apologize in advance for the lack of mercy I'm gonna have for your team. You're not playing them again, right? I can just brutalize them and it won't hurt your feelings? Also, when we figure out when we're doing that, we should definitely hop on a call. Okay, good, good, good. Well, yeah, but like even when somebody's like don't get me wrong, I don't let up when somebody has any threat against me. But when people no longer have threat against me and I can like surround them with 9 players, I kind of have mercy where I can. Yeah, I feel that, Doug. It's just the high TV, like the Div 1's not been fun at all for me. My last few seasons of Rebel were really fun, and then this season was just really so boring to me. Like, I just have no desire to play well. But also, it's like, I got outbashed by rats, and then in our game, how many hits did I take before I got even an armor break? Like, I think I didn't get an armor break against you until, like, turn 3 or 4. Like, our game was really rough. It's just like my claw wouldn't pop on you. And even just like a couple stuns would have been great. It's not the exceptional coaches part that's exhausting to me. It's the exceptional coaches that are playing claw palm. Or with natties. And it's like, even when you do well, it's like, good coaches know when they're forced to take like the 4+, 4+, 3+, without a reroll, and when it works, it's just especially draining. Because even if you do manage to outplay a good coach, when they know the line they're forced to take and it works, it's just sad. Yeah, like, Rick is a really good coach. Rick absolutely outbashed me, and also has an amazing set of gutter runners. So even if Rick didn't outbash me, I think I had a really hard game. But then Rick did outbash me, and my Minotaur wouldn't base the gutter runners because it refused to move on the 2+. Oh, you know how it is. You know how it is. Dark Elves are kind of up pretty far in the cage, but that's kind of it. No, nothing of Minos? No, I mean just like you fail the essential action to stop the gutter runners. I'm in for a treat. Okay. I don't know how much advice I can give right here for the Dark Elves or the humans, because the humans have a pretty straightforward game plan of just remove the rest of the elves. And the elves have the straightforward game plan of try to keep the ball safe and score. There's not too much to say right now. So I'm just kind of vibing with y'all. It will not be straightforward. Okay, it won't be straightforward in a minute? Good. Like, I think this is generally fine. Like, I'm okay with this right now. And then you take the 3+, 2+. That was wrong, I think. One second. Because that's 3+, 2+, but that's through tackle. 3+, 2+, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Adds a 2+, but you don't have to use the reroll on the dodge if you fail it. So I think I just prefer that path. not through tackle. But that's also probably a minor thing, because it's like changing... You're basically exchanging an extra dice roll. That actually might be better. Because if you use the dodge here on the 3+, you don't have dodge anyway, so then you're taking 1 2+ as opposed to 2 2+. That, you know, that's fine. That's fine. Hey, Eliath, how's it going? I'm sorry, Eliath. My Russel only has 1 L in it. It seems you've misspelled it ever so slightly. Oh, are you playing, like, right now? Good luck with that. Don't base too much, yada yada. Surfs are good. That sort of thing. Okay. Russell backseat. I can't see the game. You mean? So, we are not in scoring range as the elves. We are over here, though. Can we score? Maybe. Maybe is the answer. Yeah, the elves are in such a pickle. Screening when you can, bash when you must. Yes, exactly that. I liked what you were going for. But that was a 5+ dodge. I want to go back. What was the actual play? I'm not sure if that was a misclick or a just desperation 5+, 3+, 2+. It could have been either. It is a desperate situation, so I'm not judging. Not judging. I'm thinking... What are we looking at here? I think this ends up being a dodge off. If you go back, you're no longer in scoring range. If you go here, you can go 3, 3, 2 and make it, but you still got to get the ball. Chain the sideline. Chain the sideline. What do you mean, chain the sideline? Okay. Wait. I think I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. You're saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, some better pathing than that. Maybe to cut this corner instead. Save like three squares, right? So if we cut there, come up here. But now what? Now what? You blitz here, and then you take the 1 die. Boom, is the idea, the plan, right? Chain push there, and then run off, but you can't score. Is the problem? You would end up like right here, and then you dodge the other things off to come defend it, right? So let's get a nice pink. Boom. Boom. Something like that. You know, that's actually a pretty clever play. I think that is the better play. I think that's it. Get this guy here. Blitz on 1 die. Hope for a knockdown if you're lucky. Just a push is probably fine, though. Then hope you keep the ball in hand. Because that's kind of the shit you're forced to do in this situation. Now, even if you do make the right play, you probably still don't get the score, just because that's how it is, being down 7 players, 6 players, 5 players, however many. Yeah. Down 4 players? No, it was actually down 5, because that one was surfed off as well. That's right. Yeah, this is a rough game. This is just like an example of Kaz snowballs. Like, most of these Kazs are coming... Most of the removals are coming from the fact that the Dark Elves are already down players. And it's just like an exponential problem. Because the more players you're down, the more greedy your opponent can base you. The more greedy your opponent can base you, the more dodges you're forced to take, the more blocks you can fail, the more blocks they get to take. Yeah. Like right here, we see a 3 die. Does not pan out though. Where's the part where it's not straightforward yet, Glava? Oh, wait, we could have gone for the surf. Like, right? Could have gone for a surf there? No. Is that it? Yeah, so you're here. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, that's red dice. Never mind. It's red dice because of the guard. I got excited. Now I'm disappointed. Okay, so there are 5 players on the pitch for the Dark Elves. What in the world could happen? Is there like a crazy pitch invasion? Is there throw a rock helps even the field? Some sort of god play? Some random snake? Pitch invasion. No Dark Elves go down. That actually helps a lot. So with that out of the way, you blitz this and you run up this. Oh, that's just unfortunate. I don't mind just getting in scoring range, going for the wild play. That is a thing, and then you bring this player, like, right here. Yeah, that looks fine. I think that's able to be blitzed. If you're gonna throw the ball anyway, though, I think you want to stand here and throw the ball. So there's, like, a screen. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, this ball's not safe no matter what you did, actually. I think I'd just hold the ball back here. Defend it a little better on the right side. And there's a hole in the screen. Yeah, you know, I didn't even notice that. Yeah, so this player had to be there for the blitz. You should have been up 1. You should have been... I think the ball should have just been held back another turn. I like getting the scoring threat, though. That feels important. Okay. It's very fortunate for the Dark Elves. How do you solve this problem, though? I think you have to blitz this catcher. No, okay. Now we gotta get the ball somewhere useful, right? Okay. It's, 4 plus 2 plus. That's not the play I would have gone for. But it worked. Let's let's dissect a little bit about where I would be. So that worked. That was a desperation play. And my play would obviously just be another desperation play, right? But I think mine would have been different. Like, this is a 3+, 3+, 2+. I think I would prefer the 4+, 2+. 4+, 2+ into the end zone versus a 3-3-2, because I think 4-2 is better than 3-3-2. Am I wrong? Do we want to samba that? Let me get rid of this line on my screen. I'm not wrong, because that's a 75 into a 2+ versus less than 75 with 2 1 and 9s, right? Okay. So 4-2 is better than 3-3-2. And is that including with the dodge? Because I know that can probably change it. Let me look up the actual numbers exactly, just so I can like give the comparison. So we have dodge, and we'll just switch over to. Is that showing right? No, it's not. Why not? Why is that not displaying my browser? Regardless, send that back. I'll do the mathy math. So we have dodge. 3-3-2 with the reroll is 76%. 4-2 with a reroll is... Oh wait, that's worse. That's worse. That's 72 with the 4+, 3+. 3-3-2 is 76. No, the 3-3-2 is better with the reroll and dodge. So I stand corrected. Never mind. So that is the right pathing if you're going for the score right now. Yeah, it's like a 4% difference, so it's really just a... Just depends on the other criteria as well. So this is down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is there a way we can get into scoring range a little better, though? Like, where is passing range of 4+? I'm just wondering if there's, like, a 2+ dodge, 2+ dodge with dodge. Throw from here to avoid the interception as well. Because if not, this was actually the right play. But it gets really wonky with the diagonals, right? Because passing range on diagonals is super weird to figure out. Unless you just know it. So this was the mathematically correct dodge. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. I think that was actually the right play after doing all the math. Damn, that's weird. That's such a weird correct play. Desperation plays that are mathematically correct look so fucky, though. Sorry I doubted you, Ramchick. That was mathematically correct, and it just, like, worked. And brought you into the game slightly. Huh. 6 players to 11. Okay, get another piling on hit. That's why you don't use your ogre second. Really want to take your other hits first. Because, like, even if you hit with these other... Like, even if you hit with the other Mighty Blow, this is still a 3-die. You get 2 assists. Okay. Going for pressure on the ball. Staying right there. Marking the tackle piece. I actually like that. Okay, and I think this is kind of what you're forced to do. Getting movement first, good. Protect the ball. Ball comes over here, good. And now the ball's not truly safe though, because there's like a dodge play, so you gotta sure this up. Okay, so that's a 4-3 through tackle. Wait, this can just come above on the top, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for red dice. Red dice against no block. Red dice against no block with the rerolls, 75% with not sure hands, with, what you call it. It's 75 with a strip ball. I'm not sure what it is if pushes aren't a success. But it's not terrible. You take it when you're desperate. Or when it's just like a free hit on the ball. Not a knockdown. You gotta re-roll it, though. Tackle's a good skill. And what are the Dark Elves looking to do? Dodge onto the ball and pray? Can we do like some sort of 3+2+ hit this? Oh wait, we can chain you out now. We can chain you out now. So switch you. Not the most. You take a 3+ through tackle with a reroll, 2+ with dodge, 2 die, boom, pick up, run, that sort of thing. Is that what we're looking at? It might be what we're looking at. Let's see if there's any other line. I'm not sure there is, because this is blocked off. These are kind of hard to get into the play. You can kind of do it. Not amazingly well, but I think that's kind of the line, that little chain push. Mark a thing. Walk off the ogre, good. That gets you into scoring range as well, that's very good. Unfortunate 2+ dodge. I think the chain push saves a harder dodge. I think that's mostly fine. You gotta follow that. You gotta keep the tackle marked. Yeah, I liked punting over to here would be good. Because even if you fumble it, right, you're still sidestepped next to the ball. So I would have liked a punt. Would have been nice. Okay. This is like almost chain pushes everywhere. So what we're looking at here is we just fill this space and hit you from the side and sidestep off. That's what I would do. That's how I'd have done it. But can we do that easily? Not like easily. It's like 2+ into... Yeah, no rerolls left. 4+, 2+ fails. Yeah. This is a wild game. I don't even know... like, I can't really give good advice for this game, but I can give, like, validation of, like, wow. Dark Elves had some rough dice and also some amazing dice. But only on the desperation plays? Okay. Trying to scatter, I think, would have been okay, but if it got caught, it was horrible. So I don't know. Do we have more elves? It's been a while since elves got removed, so like the cat's snowball stopped. So it's been 7 versus 11 for a while. It was 6 versus 11. At one point it was also 5 versus 11. Both teams gain a turn. That's really bad for the elves. Really good for the humans. Neither team has rerolls. Now you can use the ogre on the 3 dice and be fine, but you really want to take the other mighty blow hits first. Yep, there's that removal. Okay. I feel like we should foul something this turn. We should have. We have such a player lead. Can most definitely knock something down. Like, yeah. Imagine this guy dirty player this turn. That'd be really good. Because even a stun would be amazing here. I'd love a stun. And obviously you get everything else set up as well. And it's really hard for the Dark Elves to cover all the scoring threats. There's always going to be something, right? Gets rid of the catch. Gets that knocked down. I like that. Because that makes it harder to do the transition. And you just hope that 3+ fails, rather than a 3+ with a reroll. So that makes sense to me. Then I like fouling something. Really like fouling something. And I like this positioning because it opens up this whole side for the humans to go and play in. Keep all that hemmed in. And I would like to see this dodge foul. I have some questions and concerns at the moment. Two plus into 2 die? I think you take it. You hope it's enough. Yep. Okay, do the other setup. Take a 1 die instead. It's not terrible. Oh yeah, and you don't want to do it from the top because then you push it into scoring range. Never mind me. This was actually correct, I think. You just go in for the both down or the POW. And you also don't put the catcher into scoring range. But, that being said, the follow-up gives the push. Yeah, I'm assuming you said it for the same reason. Because that gives the push right there. So that was a very good catch by Gimlick. And if that wasn't a knockdown, you could also take another 3 die to get another push and to get another GFI. Because like 3 dice is better than a GFI. That was a really hard-fought game, though. Hats off to both of them. 0 armor breaks. How many blocks? 14 blocks. Okay. 0 armor breaks and 14 blocks. That's rough. Yeah, that was a good game to watch. I wish I had more that I could offer about it, though. I just so out of my field on that game. Let me see what game I had next. Tampa Bay Nagas. So I assume we're going to be watching from not the Lizard's point of view. Yeah, that was actually insane. Like leaning into the dice when you have to sometimes pays off. And it's just really about seeing the line of, hey, I need to do this play because it's like the way that I come back, even if it's unlikely. I can't. Are we watching from Bopnuts or Girthquake? I think we're watching from Bopnuts' perspective. Yeah. Hey, Yeti, how's it going? So, just so that we can get an understanding, this is like a weird, like, piece, right? Because it's a chore without block, but it has some ball handling skills. I basically use it as like a strength 4 pillar. I mainly get it when I have like a Nuffle altered that I didn't buy. And it's like super weird piece. Just throw a bunch of skills on a player and call it a day, sort of piece. Okay. That's pretty brutal pretty immediately. Power Appo immediately. Okay. So let me evaluate the situation real quick. I don't know if I Power Appo that. What do you mean, ouch? Yeah, I don't know if I power up with that, because we've got some developed hobs. It's rough, but you're not going to get it for half the game, so I don't even think I touch it. I think I just use it on the next one. We've also got like a star player, so I think it's even less important to do it. But it's hard to say, really. Pick up with the hob. It's fine. Yeah, basing both centaurs is not optimal. I agree. You really want to keep, like, one of them free, is the thing. And to be fair, this was going to be a much better play until the guard got taken out by a rock. So I think this was mainly the rock causing a suboptimal positioning. I don't think it was actually too much on Bopnot. Because that rock really fucked up the line of scrimmage. And I do like the foul, though. Oh, yeah. I just think it was a really good foul. Just because, like, especially against lizards, like, if you're a bash team and you can start getting that strength advantage, I think removing one source has a much higher impact than removing one skink, unless the one skink is, like, a movement up or a blodge sort of thing. But all of these skinks are going to be annoying. But the source, if you remove some source, you can actually hit the skinks. Don't mind that hit. No Mighty Blow on this Chorf team. We'll say that. So it does have to rely on the dirty player. Do we have a bribe? We do have a bribe. Okay, we have a bribe. I didn't even realize that. My bad. That makes the first foul even better. And it makes this foul really good as well. Now, this does leave Hobgoblin out to dry. And if I were the Lizards, I would be hitting the dirty player with the Mighty Blow. Yep. 10 out of 10. Ace. And even just the stun against the bribe's really good. It slows down that attrition. It's very good. And as the Lizards, it's so tempting to go after the ball. But I respect waiting a little bit longer. If you're going to go after with this, though, you're probably wanting to separate the Chorfs a little bit. It's a little awkward. There is a Bull Centaur free. I think I would have gone after the Skink instead. Because you can get 3 dice there, right? Move this onto there, hit with 3 dice. They have an 8 stunty, and that's better than no Mighty Blow. Okay. Dependent on a POW, yeah. Throwing 3 dice, though, not bad. Power reroll against the Mighty Blow, that's fine. I respect that. Ooh, that was a spicy dodge. I will say, this is exposing multiple skinks at the moment. Which is fine when there's also a bench skink, I guess. Would have followed. Would have followed what? Sorry, Glava? I don't know what that was in response to. The last Chorf block. Oh, on the Mighty Blow? To get to, like, right here? Yeah. I can see that. I can see that. Either way. Now, this is a pretty strong position for the Lizards. Yep, so we hit Skink. Closes off the pathway. Then we... That's... Okay, I understand it, because you're going to go for the 1 in 9 dodge. I can respect it. So we're freed up there. I think before this dodge, I would have liked to punch this and see where we're at. Oh, wait, we got strength 4. Yeah, this doesn't have block. Yeah, that should have been a chore fit. Not a chore fit, a bull centaur hit. It's kind of why the Zarg is kind of a weird piece. Because it's like strength 4, but not block, so you kind of use it as a pillar. But it's also like not very good if it gets based up on. Yeah. Yeah. A little bit. But at the same time, I think you could isolate it enough so that it's not a huge deal. And the idea is you get a push and then you hit with the bull centaur anyways, right? Oh, you got a real T problem, right? Let's hear it. What is it? No. I mean, the Blodge Bull hadn't moved yet. Oh no! How sad and dangerous. You'll be out of tea by the weekend. And that's an unfortunate 1 in 9. That's a really unfortunate 1 in 9. We've already appoed, right? Yeah. Will do, Papa Justice. Yeah, typical hobgoblins. Let's see, what was it I was gonna say? Okay, this is a really spicy set of turns. But yeah, sine wave, you must be making your mother's traditional 3-pound tea soup. That's how I always run out myself. Just what a set of hits. Quad skulls are rough. I think it was actually tri-skull. No, it was just straight quads. Oh. You just have the water tower full of tea. Is that so you can maintain constant pressure into your gullet? I actually, I found it really interesting when I learned that's what water towers are for. It's not to, like, store the water, per se. It's more so that when you're distributing the water, it has constant pressure. Because instead of, like, it being pumped in, like, blub, 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 it's just, like, constant pressure from gravity into the pipes. I'm not sure if I explained word goods, but I do best. Ooh. Tea treatment plant. Speaking of tea, like, new favorite tea, oolong. Very good, wonderful. A little bit of milk or cream. Perfect. Lava. I will good with words and stuff. I appreciate it. That's what I thought. Oh, another set of snakes. So many snakes in this game. I think this was generally fine though, because you're looking to base with the bolt and with the spade that you're gonna pick up. The states have grown since then. Actually, the closest body of water is a river. Oh. Okay. Unfortunate boat down. But the Chorvs are gonna have a hard time stopping this ball. But back to important issues. Every 4th of July, my good friend that goes by Pittsburgh, she sends a picture of herself dumping a cup of tea down the sink while wearing like a 4th of July setup, and she tags our friends from the UK. It's always fun. Yeah, the Chorvs are really not able to stop anything. It kind of went into snakes while we were talking about tea. I don't really think there was much to have been done from the snakes. It was just kind of a shit show. Oh, yeah. And the Chorvs started off with a Kaz from a rock. Yeah, I don't think there's been any major misplay yet. Just like I may have done things slightly differently, but I don't think there's been anything like wrong yet. I do think that the fork getting exposed to the Mighty Blow was a mistake. Because with the bribe, you really want to keep removing things. What is dead? That's just a hobgoblin with block. It tripped and died. Wow, do I really have 4 games today? Nice. First time that's happened in a while. Will do. You have a good one. Oh, after this game, I can take a couple-minute break to tell you a story my dad was telling me from his perspective. He had or I could just like story time right now and just like ignore the Blood Bowl game. I haven't done that in a while. Yeah, I think it's fine. It's keeping the dirty players safe. It leaves the sides open a lot. I think if you're gonna do this, you want to move the centaurs back 1 square just to be able to catch a little bit. But the lizards, like, what do the lizards want to do? It's 2 rocks suffered by the Chorvs. Okay, that's just really funny. I think the lizards just want to grab the ball and score quickly, and then they can't really lose the game, right? So yeah, I think that you should have gone at more traditional chevrons. But that chevrons don't really stop the score either, so it's really hard. I think you go chevrons and you hope that forces a play that you can stop. Because as the lizards here, I would just want to get the ball to this movement up skink, steal 2 squares, and just score immediately when I can. Or if completely uncontested and you get removals, you just wait 8 turns anyways. And even then, you don't have to score. You don't have to score as the lizards. You just give it to the skink and go for it when you need to. Yeah, I think this is almost an untenable position for the chorfs. Like, I think there's definitely ways to go about it, but I think it's less based on the chorfs' actions and more on the lizards. And that's just kind of the nature of being against a move 9 stunty piece, right? You know, yeah. I don't disagree with that. You are allowed to just kind of go for the score on the strength floor. Yeah, I don't think this was Bopnot doing something wrong. I don't think this was Girthquake getting lucky. I think it's just kickoff events combined with other factors. You know, both of them had some unfortunate stuff. A little bit of block ordering, sure, but that's like occurs even in the non-rookie games we look at. And I don't think Bopnot's a rookie. Girthquake's also been getting a lot better at the game. I've played Girthquake and spins quite a bit. Really fun. Really nice. Yeah, and you know, it's like you point out the ordering always when you're doing like replays and stuff, but it's also good to mention that everybody does the misordering. It's okay. It's just it's mainly the egregious ones that you gotta point out. Like, you know, taking a 2-die hit with a big guy without block before taking an important movement action. That sort of thing. Have you tried just ordering correctly? You know, I haven't. Maybe next time. Maybe next time. Okay. This was a mistake by Girthquake. I think we should go back. Yeah. Let's go back and talk about why this was wrong. Right? So, in general, you don't want to base your cage, right? And the cage, in theory, should be just like this. But in actuality, this corner is 2 lizards. So these are both part of the cage. And both of them are based, which means that we're opening up a way into the cage. And just right off the cuff, this is also what happens, so it's more than just off the cuff. You bring in a guard here, you stand this up, and you take a punch with both, and then you blitz the ball. So it's very dangerous to base your cage. Yeah. If there were less pieces, it would be way less dangerous. But even, I wouldn't even mind a 1-die hit to break open a cage. And these are often just going to be 2-die hits. So that's step 1. I'm not sure I like the follow there, though. I think if you're going to do that follow, that you didn't stand this up already. Because you've blocked your way of hitting the ball as Bopnot. So I think that was actually a mistake. Because this went from an easy hit on the ball. Like, this was a 1-die, right? Or maybe a red die. Well, yeah, but it's got no block. So even I would take red dice with block against that and be very content. I don't mind the foul. It is on a stunty piece. It is on AV7. That's basically fouling a niggle, and fouling niggle is super high value. And when you have a bribe, you're allowed to do that and be very, very content. Okay, Lizard's just going backwards, because backwards is always a direction you can go. Taps forehead. and just keep the ball in the cage. Not really getting in scoring position like that, but we don't lose the ball. And the Lizards do not have to score. And I think as the Chorfs, I'm completely content with taking this blitz to get this on the ground, or taking a regular hit, and then fouling this, and just working your way through the Lizard team until they're either forced to make a play, or make a mistake. Just keep fouling things. Foul skinks. If you foul the skinks, it's harder for them to score, and you steal the ball eventually, somehow. Yep. So this is going to be another skink foul. I'm 90% certain. This is now a 3-die hit with the other bull. You know, it's really annoying. I have a problem with Chorf teams. And it's very superficial and has no bearing on the team. I hate that the bulls are not Chorfs. Because I want to call every player that's not a hobgoblin a Chorf. But it gets really confusing when I'm trying to talk about a goddamn centaur. But, I mean, I just say Chorf. Because my brain is small and filled with peanuts. Chorf tar. Yeah, I want it to be blockers and Chorfs. Like they're two different things. That's what I want. So, who puts peanuts in Coke? That's, I mean, that's not my thing. That sounds like, yeah, that's just not my thing. I've never tried it, so I couldn't tell you if it tastes good or not, but I don't even like Coke. I don't like Pepsi much either. Not big on soda. Assuming we're hitting movement 9? Or are we hitting Saurus? We are, in fact, hitting the movement 9. I think it's better to hit with tackle on, I think. So it might have been better instead of setting up a 3-die that way. Just come in with you, go 1 GFI, because you did a GFI anyways to set it up. Take a 2-die with tackle. Irrelevant with the knockdown, though. Got a strong enough presence to prevent an immediate wraparound from a Saurus ball carrier. Okay, and I want to see this surfed. That would make me happy. That's definitely getting surfed. So you come here, you surf that, and then we go after the ball on the other side. Setting up some scoring threats. Maybe? Or no. Ignoring it to go deal with the ball. Taking a 1-die, and then going to deal with the ball. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! He'll never be a ball carrier. So, if you have an Agi-busted Saurus, and you roll an Agi up, and you take it, would they still only be Agi 1? I'm assuming so. Okay. So then I feel like you're forced to take desperate measures here, right? Because you can't let the score happen. So I think we see either a Bull Centaur dodge in, which seems a little silly, or we see a hit on the movement 9 and then basing and hoping it works. But the tackle's not in range to get there either, so that's like, I think we have to see the dive? No. Maybe? That's more reasonable. Okay, and then we get two players, a little bit more tackle zones. Space is open, good. Then I think you dodge that Bull Centaur. I almost think I would have dodged it to over here to come cover this spot. Then this is supposed to go 1, 2, 3. But like, again, the lizards don't need to score. So you could just as easily just run backwards. Like this could just run off backwards, and then how the... But you don't even have to run backwards. You just have to not let the ball get closer to your end zone. And the Chorfs should create a scoring threat before anything else. Otherwise, it's kind of fruitless, right? You cannot go for that pick. Right. So then we had to free up, like, this Bull Centaur is the only thing that can get into range. Can this Chorf blocker get into range? It would have to get to the 6. It would need a double chain push to get to the 6. So that is game. That is a... Pay attention to the turn clock. I think this could still have been tieable. If we consider doing like a Bull Centaur dodge. Even though it's a like 5+, still better than not scoring. That's all we got for that one. And what was this one? This one was a game from Taba. And then we have one more after that one. But I will have to restart my Blood Bowl to watch that one. Alright, so we're watching the United Grass Enjoyers versus Amarella's team of whatever they're called. And Taba's team is still quite gorgeous. Got a good killer. Got several good blitzers besides the killer. All three of the others are good. 3 guard, 2 stand firm, 1 is blodge, and mighty blow. Yeah. versus 3 claw, 1 piling on. We got a Agisacker. 12v12. Important to note. Babe and Fame for the humans. And let's see if we get removed in the line of scrimmage. Success. Alright, down 1 to start with. Down 2 to start with. You just let him be dead, I think. Yep. I approve not following and piling that on, because I do think you just get fouled. And it's hard to defend that. It's very interesting. Good, good. Okay, immediately return cast. So it's down 2 versus down 1. And as the humans, I really like playing this a little bashy because you can actually keep up for the most part. Keep hitting beastmen. If you remove one of the the Palmer, I think you technically have higher removal rates with your own. It's only Agibust. So that's 3 down. The Russel piece ever exposes itself. I think you hit it with the jugs. That would have been a nice foul, wouldn't it? Going after the rookie. Or just basing it up. Who's to say? Going after the block piece. Crow. No follow. Didn't need to. Good KO. This rookie's mostly trapped. This catcher's gonna come over, like, right here? Yeah. Good screen. And I like that dodge. I like not re-rolling it. So it's 3 down to 2 down. It's very violent and bashy so far. Okay. It's a good hit. Does not connect, though. Now the humans have the ability to get a couple hits here. So I expect jugs to come in on here. No, okay. Spicy. Ooh. We're getting a hit on the killer. That was a good find. Pros? Yeah. I think you follow. I think you pile that on. Don't need to. Yeah, because I mainly think that the Chaos don't really have something bad enough to foul with. And they don't have a bribe. Stand firm is a good skill. Okay, that does open up a hit on this one. It is against Blodge. Blitzer should mostly be safe. What do you think Joe's getting at Legend? Guard? Dauntless? Frenzy? Not Frenzy. Bet for grab? Ooh, yeah, that'd be a good one. Deal with the sidesteppers? Strength up. Ooh, yeah, that'd be nice. Agi up, maybe? Would you take an Agi up? Or a movement up? Or Blodge? Or jump up. Jump up would be good. If you got doubles. And then you get some guard lockage up here. And this is where we kind of talk about you don't base without a reason. Right now we're seeing basage, and that's opening up hits on the humans. But it's on stand firm that could waste activations. And it's also preventing easy access to blitz the ball. So here's the stand firm that wastes the activation, allowing return hits. That does not get the ball free. Does get a follow-up hit though. Yep. Okay, that's another one down. So that's 4 players out on the human side, but there's still, like, a strong position held. It did give up the center, so there is an argument to be made that it was a strong swing to do that. I think the main thing being that this has got 2 heads and dodge, so it's actually easy for it to just walk out. I mean, with a reroll, it's a 1 in 36, but it could waste a reroll. They only have a couple left. Yeah, I can see an argument either way. It was really aggressive. It almost worked though. Are we going after the killer rather than positioning for the ball? I think so. And I think getting the killer out and marking the ball. Okay. And the catcher goes to mark as well. No mark. So this is probably looking like a handoff to the Agi 4. Like dodge handoff. And then just hide down here with the ball. No. Leaving the killer out to dry a little bit. I don't think the cage was necessary. I think we could have just handed off and held it down here for a turn. I don't think the humans could have really done much about it. They could have gotten red dye with the catcher, actually. So maybe not. Let me take another check at this. So, where do you go again? Yeah, so that is in range of here. But I don't think it's reasonable if we screen off. Because what I'm seeing is, come down here, handoff, and then just like put you here, and you here, and that really cuts off anywhere that somebody could get to. Bring you here, just like zone off the ogre or the blitzer, and we could just hold the ball until turn 7, pretty guaranteed. Not turn 8 though. So if you really value the turn 8, you do go into the cage first. And with 4 humans out of the way, it's not too unsafe either. Especially with them all behind you. And I'm fairly certain you go for this pile-on hit. And we do go for damage rather than stopping the score. We should pile this on. Never mind. Let's not pile this one on. Very... not worth it. Do get the power apple, though. So now it's a dangerous game for the Chaos. Anything else sticks. It is pretty much the score, though. Skip this movement. Now we're going for a little bit of damage on a Mighty Blow piece. I think you pile on. If that broke armor, at least. Okay. Oh, surfs? 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 No, I'm sad. That was like almost some fun surfing times. It was like wanting to be a surf. Not enough activations though, or players to clog the holes. And you gotta take the claw hits, gotta take the mighty blow hits, yada yada. Gotta use the full movement. It's my favorite thing that people do when they score, is when they use all the excess movement. Okay, I'm gonna breeze past setup a little bit. Setting up to defend against the 1 turn. Setting up to do a 1 turn. So we got the movement 8. I bereave. And you use the jugs piece because you can turn the both down into a push, which is very nice. Very good. So how are we doing? Which piece are we hitting down? Quick snap. Okay. Not messing up the score yet. Coming down this way. Push here. It's exactly what you wanted. 3 dice are rewarded. Oh, looking for the knockdown. Okay, yeah, I like that. I like that. That was crafty. GFI 3+ with a reroll, 3+ with a reroll, into a bunch of dice. Go, bucket of dice. No, the tripwire. Well done, though. That was pretty good. We skip some more setup. Skip some more setup. It's down. How many on the bench? 3, 6, 9 versus 11. Humans are not in the driver's seat at the moment, but they are ahead on removal capability, I think. Well, ish. They've got Napo and the Chaos Stone. Okay, that is the Blitz. Pro's a good skill. Three die with the Ogre. This Ogre has rolled so many doubles. I like the pylon hit with the 3 dice. Hit by approve. Going for the calves when you're so far ahead in removals. And that was pretty safe as well. Especially because Dirty Player is out for the game. Humans can't really afford to foul with much here. You could argue maybe they could afford to foul with the thrower, but they also need the thrower to score. Okay. The throwers allowing the humans to fight as hard as they want. I think that's the real power of throwers. You're allowed to commit one person to defending the ball rather than 3 to 5. That being said, this wrestler is able to get through at the moment. It's pretty spooky. That's a 3+, 2+ sack. And I think that's what we're going to see Morello go for. I would have been much more keen on this if there was someone like right here. And if that was just a push instead of a knockdown, we could chain push it. Picking this up, putting it right there. Boom, just 2+ sack. So like right here. Actually, this could have been a chain push anyways, couldn't it? Boom, boom, boom. No, that's worse. That's worse. Yeah, if we could just fill this spot. Push. Pow. Yeah, pretty spooky. Ooh, not going for the ball. I very much would have preferred 3+, 2+ play, I think. Tabit's still in a decent spot. Okay, Jugs against Russell. Now where's the ball going? Plopped between some guard and calling it a day. Alrighty, you have a good one, Guava. Alright, I think that should have been a Russel blitz. And that's unfortunate. Chaos did not get the ball there. That's actually a pretty bad player to catch it on you. Catcher that's actually relatively close to scoring range. But now we see Morello just basing up. Potentially getting punished here. Not following with the piling on, because you need to keep it free. Okay, one die to free up the catcher. That never stops you, okay? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We can hit it on 2 die. Can hit it on 2 die anyways, actually. Doesn't need to go around. Don't really have wrestle or tackle in range of it though. I think this player is completely out of range. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. Cannot hit it with the tackle. So, trusting in Blodge. This is a 30% knockdown. Does not get it. And then I think you take this dodge with the Chaos Warrior. Come base right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But you want to go here so you negate the 1 die. Because I think the humans now just score. So it's 1, 7, no GFI. Yep, Judge is a good skill. You always pile on because you're about to score. No dice score. And we skip some setups. Oop, skipped a little too far. So I think it's still 7 versus 11. Grass Enjoyers get a blitz. I don't think there's much you can do about that as the chaos. Yep, you just follow on through. That's a good removal. 7 versus 10. Humans using their speed. Bringing some stand firm up. And that's unfortunate. Going for the 1 in 9 to get more players through. No reroll chaos versus 3 reroll humans, who already have a lot of innate rerolls as well. So the chaos are actually in a lot of danger here. No rider pitch evasion. Okay. And they do get the dub skull, the 1 in 36, which allows humans to have a chance back to get the ball. This has been a really solid game overall. And Tabba sent me this one asking if I wanted more of a filler game that had a little bit of several concepts being demonstrated. We're seeing a lot of good turn ordering. We're seeing a lot of decent positioning. Fun chain pushes. It's a pretty good game. Okay. Free someone up to hit the blodger. I think it's gonna be the Russel piece. That should have just been the blitz, I think. If you blitz that, you can get another hit there. That works too. Kind of liked throwing 4 dice at it though. Now we chain push free. I think it's a chain push free. Yep, we get the push. So now you stand firm. 3+ into the touchdown. Yep. Okay, and then Chaos have to find a way to even up the game, and they do somehow. It's 10 players versus 7. It's actually a really hard score to prevent in 2 turns. It might have been better for Taba to go for the stall. Let me go back and think for a second. Yeah, so you get this. Not really able to do so safely, huh? So there's a Russel piece. No one really in scoring range though. Yeah, I can't really defend that. Except maybe with like a 1 die this way that frees up a player. That player's already moved. Yeah. So that's pretty hard to defend. That's a really deep kick, so it's actually really interesting. You did get a reroll back, so it makes it a lot easier. Two KOs. Not many players to work with on the human turn. Got 3 scoring threats. Being said, if you mob the scoring threats, you're mostly fine. Get some stand firm into there, that sort of thing. 4 scoring threats, but you can knock it down with the ogre. Like the stand firm there. It's very good. Like that coming right here. That's fine too. Okay, good. Put it right there, I think, because that blocks a pathway. That's also fine. That's dead. Yep, reroll it. Just stand right there. Standing right there is great. You come bring that down, and you hope this hit works, I think? Still scoring range, much harder though. Ooh, wait, that's the one that scores, isn't it? Because this is all locked down, and this wasn't. Would have piled on there? Yeah. I think, actually, what I would have loved more than anything is you hit the pylon piece to there. If you hit it here and then also piled on and it didn't get removed, that would block off these 3 tiles and I think effectively stops the score from this piece. In a very, very funny way. Just by having 2 down pieces and a piece that's like based. And then this piece could have stopped the other goat. It's a fun little thing to think about. I'm not sure, like, you don't plan on that working, right? But, like, it would definitely have done it. Or, you know, this piece would have just, like... I mean, this is standard. Who's to say? Yeah, this is a unfortunate way to get scored on. Well done, nonetheless. If that was a knockdown, you just won the game. Like, if this piece was knocked down, I don't think there was any way they scored. Like, they could have, but it would have been so many dice. So many dice on the right side. That was a really good watch, though. Thanks for sending that to me. Then I have one more game I gotta put in my replay files. This one is from a new player in the Rookie League. And so we're going to try and be very thorough about this one when I get it booted up. So let me close the game so I can get that loaded in. And I will try to cover a good bit more basics. Yeah, have fun. Be joining Glava when I'm done with this as well. There we go. And then let's load up the game. Right, and I know it's still on the Rebel screen. My Blood Bowl's taking a bit to load today. All right. So do a little cheekiness and hide the score from y'all. Let's see, and we're casting for Nighty Night. Do we know what Nighty Night was playing? Maybe... Which team were they? So it's Zekli versus Nighty Night. Okay. So we're the Orcs. Orcs versus Z. Go to all skills for a new player. Note before we get into the game, this is 11 versus 11. 2 rerolls versus 2 rerolls. And generally against Nurgle, my go-to strategy is when you can hit some Rotters, because Rotters have decay. So if they get Kaz, they're guaranteed out, whereas all the other players have regen, so they are not guaranteed out. And it looks like there's no Pestigore in this game, so that's actually really good for the Orcs. We do have a Troll. You want to Troll and a Goblin. Okay. I'm not going to comment too much on team building. If you want team building advice, you can get it in Rebel. Mainly because, like, I will mention team building, but I'm not going to hardcore focus on it. So, right off of that, see a lot of things. Mentioning team build once, and then I'm not going to harp on it, because it's just like, you just got it. Goblins, generally not considered good. Trolls, generally, most people don't take them on an Orc team, but they are still fine, especially in longer-lived teams. And then Throwers, hotly debated, but I think they're fine. But this is honestly an okay team. I have no qualms with this team build, and even if you just like this, and you're doing something, obviously, that gives away that you're a new player, you're doing several very important things that you want to change in your next game. When you're setting up on your line of scrimmage, you want to only set up 3 players. Because every player you put on the line of scrimmage is a free hit for your opponent. And free hits equals more removals, which equals less players for you, and an easier game for your opponent. So wherever you can, you want to reduce blocks that you give up. So on the line of scrimmage, you want to be putting 3 linemen, if you have them. In this case, you don't have any linemen. So if you run a troll, you put the troll in the line of scrimmage. It's got regen, its job is to get hit. So you got the troll, that's good. Now you need to decide what else goes on the line. If you put the goblin on the line of scrimmage, it gets hit, it gets killed very easily. Probably don't want to do that. For you against Nurgle, you can either put the Black Orcs, which is fine, or the Blitzers, maybe. But ideally, you get 2 linemen on your team to stand next to the troll. And that's your line of scrimmage. Now, once you have 3 players on the line of scrimmage, you don't want to add more because you don't want to take hits. But we also want to prevent hidden hits. So right here, we've got players on the second line here, which is also something you want to avoid on defense. It's like a 1 in 9 times. There's the event Quick Snap. Quick Snap allows all the offensive players to move one tile. So, if the offense gets a Quick Snap here, this warrior moves here, this warrior moves here, and so on and so forth. And what that means is, you've given up 4 extra blocks here, on top of the 2 extra that you shouldn't give by only putting 3 players on the line of scrimmage. So this is actually a very important thing to be aware of, and why I'm taking so much time before we've even seen a game of gameplay, or a 1 turn of gameplay, is you are giving up 2 extra hits already, and if a quick snap occurs, you've given up 6. And even with AV9, you want to avoid giving up those hits. But that's a very common mistake for new players. Everybody's done it. So I want it to be clear, I'm not trying to pick on you, just trying to help you improve. Okay, and here's another reason. Right here, you got a blitz. And these 2 players can't move because they're based on the line of scrimmage. Also, you got a blitz, and that gives you a free hit. And you didn't take a blitz action. Every turn you get 1 blitz action. The blitz allows you to get 1 free hit, so you really wanted to hit something here. Absolutely. Sine Wave has a great point. Even without removals, getting knocked down loses you 3 tiles of movement. And especially on a slow team like Orcs, losing that movement is a big no-no. Because you just really can't recover from so many hits so early. Like losing 3 tiles of movement almost across the board, massive, massive penalty. Another thing, you want to keep your thrower a little more safe. He's got AV8 in comparison to AV9 of your other players. And even more important than keeping the thrower safe, you want to keep your goblin safe, which right now he's very safe. He's got AV7, which is exponentially worse than 8, which is exponentially worse than 9. But he also has Stunty, meaning he gets injured easier. He basically has innate Mighty Blow against him if they break armor. Well, innate Niggle is a better way of phrasing it. Innate Niggle. But you see here, Zeekly I'm pretty sure is just Zarati, aren't they? They are a very good player, and they have taken advantage of all the hits you've given them. And they have gotten 1 KO, but a lot of knockdowns. You're going to be very slow on the next turn. Now, another thing, where we just talked about giving up of hits, we're going to go into a concept I like this is how I like to think about basing. Basing is just any time you put a standing player of yours against a standing player of your opponent's. Whenever you base, you give up a free hit. If you never base, you give up 1 blitz that the opponent can hit you on, guaranteed every turn. Other than that, they have to find some way of getting extra hits, whether it's basing you back, or chain pushes, or pushing you into another tackle zone to get a free hit, something like that. But in general, you only ever want to go in base contact with your opponent when it gives you something. Whether it's position on the pitch, whether it's follow-up hits on the next turn, some sort of goal, and you'll figure out those goals as you play more and as people give you advice and help you out. But general idea, if you are going into base contact, you're probably going full base contact. But kind of ignore that advice for now. That's actually more intermediate advice. I shouldn't say that for you. Just in general, avoid basing wherever you can, and you'll find and refine your knowledge about when you should be basing and when you should not. But in general, what's basing doing for you here? I assume what you're trying to do is prevent your opponent from walking down the pitch on you. So, and that does kind of prevent that. But they get a free hit, they get to knock you down. another way to accomplish the same thing with less risk to your players is, instead of basing, form a screen. So a screen is when you have one person here, tile of space, one person here. And what this does is these blue lines are tackle zones, right? These blue lines are tackle zones. The red X's are your players. Your opponent, if they want to walk through your screen, they'd have to make 3 dodges to get past you, or blitz one of your players. And if they use the blitz, that's much better than if they just take a standing hit, because you only get 1 blitz action per turn. So a lot of your defense should be not just figuring out how they might use their blitz, force them to use it where you want them to. But that's also a little bit more advanced. And hopefully you'll keep playing games, keep sending in reviews, and you'll be able to help you develop that along the way. And we get a 1 die. It is on a rotter, so that's a good piece to hit. We do give up a 2 die here. We do give up a lot of hits again. And sometimes this does work, but that's more of a high roll situation. Like, it's not great to rely on 1 and 9s for your opponent to fail, because that's like 8 and 9 hits they're gonna knock you down or push you back and be unpunished by taking the 2 die. Then I'm not certain yet if you know how block dice work. I actually made a video about that a while ago. If you need to know how block dice works, I can link you that video. I think I did a decent job of explaining it in that video. I also explained stuff like chain pushes and surfing. So if you watch this and you want that video, let me know. I'll send it to you. Yep, and here we see Troll gets removed, and just a 1 die, punishing that basing. No rerolls for the Nurgle now, though, so you might be able to punish that. Okay, so here again, you're going into base contact. Yes, yes. I'll actually demonstrate that real quick. And Sinewave pointed out very well. Here your opponent was avoiding basing themselves. They took a hit and did not follow. Because if they followed, it gives you a free hit with your blitzer. And they're trying to avoid removals themselves. Very, very good to point that out. We were just talking about it. Glad you caught that for me. I always forget rotters are agility 3. It's like every time I play against Nurgle, I have to relearn that fact. It's like, you know the meme where there's, like, not enough space for information due to such and such lore? Well, anyways, Dave, you ever hear about Chaos Minotaurs? Yep, exactly. Okay. Putting a little pressure on the ball with the Goblin. I don't hate this. This is fine. A Goblin will probably be blitzed. But you're doing a decent job at preventing that. And then you don't follow this and just walk. Okay, so now here's the thing that you've done. you obviously did not want to stay on the line of scrimmage, because that makes you surfable, right? So you did a good job not leaving your player at the line of scrimmage, because you just get blitzed, pushed off, lose your player. But there's actually hidden math about it, right? For every player that's able to take a hit on you in sequence, you need to be one space further away from the sideline. So right now you're based by one player. He can push you one extra square, and then you can get blitzed and surfed. And if there were, let's say your player was one square over, but there were two opposing routers able to take hits on you to get pushes, that would go boom, boom, and then somebody else could surf you. Here comes the blitz, boom. So that's something to keep in mind. Here, you should have not followed and just stepped here, and your player would be safe from the surf. And surfs are very, very powerful. It is a guaranteed removal for the drive, and it doesn't make an armor roll. It goes straight to injuries. So there's also a pretty good chance that you're out for another drive due to being KO'd, or the whole game because you get cast. And there we demonstrate routers being good at hurting themselves. That is a double miss next game, which doesn't mean anything, except that he's out for the game. And the next one. No, it's badly hurt miss next game. Because Decay has two injury rolls on casualties. So it's like twice the odds of death, twice the odds of permanent injury. Because they get both of them. So they could get like double niggled, or double moved down, or strength bust add you down, and a bunch of just combinations of stuff like that kill the player very easily. It also gives them very high odds of just missing next game in general, even if it's a trivial injury or M&Gs. Routers go pop. That was mostly fine. I didn't hate that blitz. And that's fine. I will say, the Goblin's actually really strong in this game, because it's basically, you can almost consider it to have blodge. Because none of the Nurgle have block, and it has dodge, so it's actually pretty unlikely for it to get knocked down if your opponent isn't willing to take the boat down. Now here, you can almost get a hit on the ball. Right? Almost. I don't think you can quite do it. And we're already down 3 players. We've taken a lot of attrition by giving up those blocks, you see. Another thing of note, you probably want to be hitting these routers. So I would take this 2-die, follow, hope to get a knockdown here, then try to get this blackwork to take a 2-die that way. Then probably end up having to free up your players with like either dodges or 1-die hits with block. Yeah, you taking good hits, taking good hits. I would not have hated a surf here. So instead of going for a blitz over here, you could have followed that and surfed on 1 dice with a reroll. Was that a blitz? No, it was not. Do you know how to not commit to a blitz? And I mean that as there's a UI thing where instead of just clicking your opponent to blitz, you can click on your player to select them, click on them again to pull up the menu, and there will be blitz. You hit blitz, and then you can draw your path and stop at any point if it's not worth taking risk anymore to go for a blitz. Like if it requires like 2 dodges and you have to use your reroll on the first one, you can instead of taking the hit, you still have the blitz available. You can change your hit target or something like that. Okay. So right now we need to find a way to get hit on the ball. Okay, that's really good. That's really good. So looking at this, we've got a couple options here. Not many great ones. Because, we haven't been controlling much space. I don't want to talk on too many things at the same time, though. I think step one is have more players by basing less. Try to use screens to control space, and we talked about screens. That's just the 2 spaces in between players to prevent dodges through. And you can, like, overlap these. You can continue this chain. Like, you can make the chain longer. Or you can have double screens, where you have more players behind. And this makes it so it's harder to blitz out of the way. You can put them in different directions to control different angles. Or you can just have partial screens, different spaces. You can have 1 wide screens if you really need them for certain situations. Because a lot of Blood Bowl, to me, is about controlling space. And so if we look right now, everything's kind of all over the space because you're both kind of in a mosh pit. But if we had to draw roughly which team controls what space, I would say that the Nurgle are controlling something like this and are able to bring the ball into here. And what do you control? Well, you kind of control, like, this pocket here with this black orc. Kind of control this pocket here with these 2 blitzers. And you control this way with these orcs. But the ball is down here. So the way you prevent this, like, inversion of the pitch on you from happening is you've got to prepare ahead of time. So by basing less, you don't lose players. So the opponent cannot break through and get behind you, and that sort of thing. And I'm sure that Sinewave has just said something very insightful about it as well. Let me double check what you said here. Yeah, Blood Bowl is a cascading game, and we're seeing the early basing start, turning this drive out of control. Yes, your Black Ops are tied up in oppositions, Marauders are in a hard spot to sack, your Blitzers are not able to reach the ball, and situations are actually decided 2 or 3 turns before they actually happen. Oftentimes, this is very, very true. And don't expect for all of this to click right away, because Blood Bowl is a very complex game, and it does take quite a few games to implement new concepts that you learn, especially against coaches that have been doing it for many more years. Because Blood Bowl 2's been out for, like, what, 7 years? 8 years? And then Blood Bowl as a board game in general has been out for decades. So you are trying to catch up with people that can have potentially 20 years of experience on you. So don't kick yourself if you can't get it right away. The proactive learning will catch you up, like, I would say 95% within a, like, 6 months to a year if you keep playing Blood Bowl in leagues. If you play a lot of CCL and stuff, it's actually faster than that even. But, like, I would say, like, for me, I felt like I closed the distance on experience within 100 games of Blood Bowl with proactive learning and looking for advice. Yes, exactly what Sinewave said. It's actually a lot like chess in that aspect. The more you look at unique situations, the more insight you have on how game states play out. Now, if you play a lot of orcs, you'll get really good at a lot of orc game states. Especially, like, their matchups, their counter matchups, that sort of thing. And some of that, but not all of it, will transition over to other teams. But if you if you play like orcs and pro elves and some sort of stunty team, and like if you play a bunch of different teams, it might not feel like you improve quickly because you're playing in so many different game states that a lot of the experience doesn't transition over between one another. So that's another thing to be aware of. Even if you play a lot of games, if you're playing a lot of games with a lot of teams, it may not feel like you're improving that quickly, even if you are getting a lot of experience. Just because so many different game states and you may not have experienced most of them on the other teams. Right now, there's not much you can do to stop the score. Your best bet is just to continue hitting Rotters, try to free up your own players and not get hit yourself. Right here we see a pretty greedy foul. Because that's a 9+ foul with a Rotter. I think that's more likely to remove the Rotter than it is your player. So I'm not sure I agree with that foul from Zeekly. But it's also important to know that fouls are not like a BM thing. They're like a legitimate part of the game strategy. And it's just like unfortunately named. Because that's another thing new players often get confused. Like it is an intentional game mechanic that's very good for removing players with a name that implies that it's like cheating. That's an unfortunate clash of lore and real-life terminology. So far, though, I don't think we've not seen any, like, massive mistake that comes from a fundamental misunderstanding of things. I don't think we've seen any, like, accidental red dice or accidental dodges. So there's, like, at least a decent base of fundamentals. Or, like, familiarity with the UI. So I assume that Nighty Night may have been playing against AI, having fun with it, and that joined Rebel from after that. Because that's what happened with me. I played through a little bit of the campaign, a little bit of AI leagues, having fun, but knowing it wasn't, like, couldn't be all of it, you know? But yeah. And then we see here, Zeekly putting only 3 players on the line of scrimmage. Everything else is behind the second row. In this case, they're even further back, because Zeekly only has to prevent a 1-turn score from orcs, which is much harder to accomplish. Only got... Oh, wait. We got some blizzards. So, in general, you want to take your hits with block rather than with strength 4, because strength 4 and block do the same thing if you're getting 2 dice. But block does it better. Like right here, if that was a block hit, you would be able to take more hits. I'm gonna skip past that setup a little bit. Go to the orc setup. Okay. What we got here? Looks like we're trying to set up to take all the blocks. Now, it is very important to note that Zeekly has intentionally overloaded the line of scrimmage to make your hits hard. And that's partially because you're down a player, and I don't actually know why. I think this is a very greedy setup. Maybe playing on the fact knowing you're newer. I don't actually know why Z gave up so many hits. Because this should be a lot of free hits. Like, you could have even gotten the hit on the Beast and Nurgle if you really set up for it. Yeah, okay, so now you're setting up a 2-die Marauder. I like that a lot. Boom, done. So that's good. Goblin picking up the ball is fine. Ooh, don't want to pass that. I should not be in a rush here. You can just hold on to the ball back here. You have 8 turns to score if you're willing to accept a tie. You only have to rush if you are going for the win. Which in your case might be a little tricky at the moment. But also, goblins have an innate -1 to passing. So you have to roll pretty hard rolls to succeed on that. And then you gotta succeed a 3+. In general, the main way you should score in Blood Bowl is walking it in. Handoff should be your second best bet. Pass should be option number 3. And then pass handoff is when you really, really need to get the ball down the pitch. It's just that every time you give the ball to a different player, that's another dice roll. Every time you pass the ball to another player, that's 2 dice rolls. Whereas if you hold the ball and just walk it in, that's, in theory, no dice rolls, besides the blocks and movement you use to get there. That is not an assist. So, little error here. Assist happen whenever you've got an unmarked, like when your player is marking one opponent, that gives you an assist. If you have any other amount of players besides 1, you give no assist unless you have guard. So right here, you're marking 2 separate opposing players. That will not give you an assist on either of them. But it will negate assist on both of them if they're marked by a second player. Okay, this does keep the ball safe. Good. And that gives you a 2-die here. Good. Pushing towards the sideline. I don't mind that. And here's actually a good thing to point out. This piece of Nurgle hit was an attempt to free up 2 players. So whenever you can take one action that frees up other players, it's very good to consider taking it. As long as there's no other important action you need to take. Okay, Zeekly running out of rerolls. Marking to try and force you to have difficulties getting the ball safe. Okay. Okay, mark them on the sideline. I don't hate that. Not huge on the pass. That's a 6+ pass. Even with a reroll, that's very low odds of working. Because that fails 25 out of 36 times. About a 1 in 3 to actually go anywhere. Because I think, on a 6+, if you roll a 5, does it still scatter at your feet? I don't remember. Do you have to roll a 5 or a 4 for it to fumble on a 6+ pass? I don't know the mechanics very well. but also anytime you pass over the opponent's players, they have at least, at minimum, a 6+ to steal the ball from you. And you don't get to re-roll the interception. Okay, gets a 2-die on the rotter, and is able to pick up the ball. Okay, now you need to find a way to get the ball safe. You probably follow that. Yep, okay. So you've marked some rotters. Okay, do not follow that. Good, good. Now your ball is not truly safe, but it's safer than it was. Probably stand up that blitzer, yeah. Okay. Now you just hope that the Nurgle fail. Fail what? Anything. Actually, surprised I wasn't the blitz. Because if that was the blitz, that could have been the pickup rather than the hit. I think Ezekiel made a error. This is a 1-die. Gets a POW. Then you need to get out of your way. Cavs in a regen. Good SPP. You're able to go for a handoff. Handoffs are performed by standing next to the player and then trying to do a pass, but not by going through the pass menu. So you click next to them, click them. That's a handoff. It's not in the UI. It's very unintuitive. I didn't know they existed. But handoffs have no pass roll, only the catch roll. So it's just one less dice roll to perform. And you can perform one handoff and one pass every turn, but you should not do that every turn. But you can do both. Getting a bunch of punches, and I think it's actually really hard for Ezekiel to stop you from scoring, so you should stall down at the end of the pitch, score on turn 16 if you're willing to accept a draw. If you're not willing to accept a draw, you want to go for the win, that's fine. You just have to understand that if you go for the win, that you have a higher chance of losing than a guaranteed tie. That sounds really obvious when I said it out loud, but in my head it was very philosophical and pioneering the edge of human knowledge. Oh. Ugh. Going for the win has higher odds of losing than a guaranteed tie. Oh, wow, I'm a wordsmith. Okay, and you do go for the touchdown. So this does give you a chance at winning the game. You had to turn over and score in 2. Nurgle tend to have difficulty scoring in quickly, so it's actually not super risky. Want to set up with less on the line of scrimmage yet again. We've talked about this at the beginning. I'm not going to harp on it too much again. Gonna skim. Okay. So with the rain, it's pretty hard for either team to score here. And it does look like the Nurgle failed their hit at the very beginning. Casualty SPP. SPP is king. So something you should ask every turn, something you should do is every turn, double check what turn it is, and double check that you can have someone in range to score. Because right now, you cannot score. You need someone within range of the sideline, within range of the touchdowns. Even if they don't have the ball, they just need to be able to reach there. So on turn 14, you should check that somebody could get to the end zone in 2 turns. On turn 15, you should check that you can get somebody into the end zone on the next turn. So right here, if you fail this, you cannot touchdown, you cannot score. Right now, the Nurgle don't have anyone in touchdown range. Why am I saying touchdown range? Scoring range. That's I couldn't think of the term I always use. Blah. Very tired. Okay. Still don't have anyone in scoring range. You cannot win the game. So the best you can get now is a tie. But your opponent can get someone in scoring range and win. Potentially. So what's that look like? A Rotter has to get to the 7. Which I think this one technically can get in scoring range. This one can technically get in scoring range. Okay. I think that Zeekly accidentally gave up the score. Because now neither of these Rotters can get to scoring range without dodges. Yeah, so Zeekly did not go for the score. So that will be that game. And that will do it. Okay. I've got no other games. I need a little break, and then I'm going to look at some games for my recap for 3B. So let's see if Glava is still streaming. Glava is still streaming, so we're going to go raid Glava. Go see what they're up to. And then I'm going to let y'all go. Thank y'all for tuning in.